Hello students, in this session we are going to start with Karl Marx. Okay, so we will be discussing the first thinker. So I will be starting with Karl Marx, a very important thinker. Okay, and I'll be introducing a perspective here, that is conflict perspective. So when we discuss about Karl Marx, even before we move on to the theories, we have theory of historical materialism, mode of production, and then theory of class and class struggle, alienation. So we will move on to all these theories. But before that, let's try to understand the basic idea of Marx. Okay, like his idea about society and individual. So he is having certain conception about society and individual. In fact, that can also be asked as a separate question. So we basically are going to discuss about that question, the idea of society and individual according to Marx, or Marxian concept of society, Marxian concept of individual, or Marx idea about society and individual. So if this question is asked, or you can get critically analyzed question also. So if it is critically analyzed Marx idea about society and change, then you will briefly talk about something about Marx in your introduction. Then you will talk about his idea about society. Then you will talk about his idea about individual, okay, and then you will talk about some of his contribution, okay. So his understanding of society and individual, how is it actually helping us to understand society, individual, some contribution. I have told you the CCR you will follow, right? Any theory you will follow this. For example, if the question is about historical materialism, the theory is historical materialism, you will write introduction, okay, about Marx, and then you will talk about the theory historical materialism, okay, and then what you will do, you will follow this formula CCR. You will write the contribution, right? That is the first C. You will write the contribution of Marx, okay, then you will write criticism. So here when you write criticism, you will write first general criticism, like generally Marx is criticized on these lines. Okay, so general criticisms are like Marx is a macro sociologist, ignoring micro, giving importance to society, not to individual, and he is giving importance to conflict perspective and ignoring the functional aspects. Okay, so all these are general criticisms of Marx. Then specific to this theory, there are some criticisms. So then criticism general and specific. So contribution, criticisms, which is general and specific, and then this R, that is relevance. You conclude your answer with positive note. So the way we are going to prepare is like this. Introduction I'll be giving now. So this session is about introduction to all questions which are going to be asked from Marx, whether it is alienation, whether it is class struggle, historical materialism, or mode of production. In all these questions, your introduction is going to be from this session. So what all things that you understand in this session, from that you can write an introduction, or it can actually also be asked as a separate question, his idea about society and individual. So that's your introduction. Then each theory we will discuss separately. Historical materialism we will do, alienation we will do, class struggle we will do. So all these theories we will discuss separately. So we done with introduction and we done with theory. And the introduction, the today's session, which is common, you can apply across. So you will get a common introduction, and from that you can pick number of words. Okay, what all things you need to write, you can decide. I'll be giving around 300-400 words today itself. Then contribution, then we will see after completing all the theory, we will go to the critical analysis part. So I'm arranging everything, you know, in that systematic way. So that structure we are following. Okay, so introduction, then all the theories will be discussed. Then I will take up critical analysis. Then what I'll do is I'll talk about contribution. So the contribution that we are discussing, you can write in all the theories. Okay, same contribution, Marxian contribution will be same, whatever theory will be asked. Most probably they will ask you one theory only from one thinker. Okay, so if the question is asked, if it is alienation or historical materialism or class struggle, introduction will be same, the contribution of Marx will be same. Then criticism. Criticism also, this general criticism will remain the same for all the three theories. So we will prepare this introduction same, contribution same, general criticism same. Relevance will also be same for all these. So we will prepare all these similar. Okay, but what changes? This particular theory. If it is historical materialism, you need to write historical materialism here. If it is alienation, you have to write that. If it is class struggle, you need to write that. And when it comes to criticism, in specific criticism, if the question is related to critically analyze historical materialism, then after writing the general criticism, you write criticisms on historical materialism. Then if it is about alienation, you write specific alienation. If it is about class struggle, you write specific to that. So this is how we are going to structure our chapter. Okay, so first, today we are going to talk about ideas about society and change. From there, you will pick your introduction for any question of Marx. Without any doubt, I make sure that you will write the best introduction ever possible. Okay, so we will do with the introduction, which is same for all the questions from Marx. And then we will discuss each theories. You will not face any problem. One by one, I will discuss. And I'll make sure that you will understand each concept. Okay, and then we will go to critical analysis part. Understand contribution will be same in all theories. When it comes to criticism, general criticism, like Marx is a macro sociologist, giving importance to economic conditions more, and he is talking more about conflict. All these are general criticism which are suitable for all his theories. And specific to these theories, we will see specifically criticisms of historical materialism, criticisms of class struggle, criticisms of alienation. I will give you specific to each theories. Okay, and then relevance also, we make a common relevance so that any question which is asked, you will be in a position to write. I hope you understood the method in which we are going to proceed this theory or the thinker. Okay, so let's try to understand about his idea about society and change. See, Marx's fundamental conception about society is like this: production. Production is very much essential. Production is the first historical act. Production is essential for survival of human being. Okay, so production of material life would have been the first historical act which would have happened in society, in the history. Okay, so without production, man cannot survive. In order to survive, man must produce. Okay, so production is very much essential and very important for the survival of human being, and so all Marxian understanding. So production, everything is related to production. So production is very much important, and without production, man cannot survive. Okay, so his idea about human being is human beings generate needs. All the time they keep on generating needs. When the basic needs are met, they keep on demanding more. Okay, like when needs are met, then greeds will start. Like basic needs are what? The shelter, the food, the clothes, etc. Once you get all these things, then you will start searching for luxuries like cars, TVs, etc. Once that is met, you try to go beyond that, right? So human beings, their needs are never ending. So Marxian understanding of human being is man is perpetually a dissatisfied animal. Okay, for example, if you talk about the case of a street dog, if that dog is getting food, then he's happy. He don't have any other needs. Only food is what required. But that is not the case with human beings. Man is perpetually a dissatisfied animal. Okay, according to Marx. So production is essential for the survival of human being. Production is very important in the context of society, and production would have been the first historical act in the history of human civilization. Now, to produce, there are certain things which is required. So if you need to produce, you alone cannot do that. You need to enter into relation with others. So relation with others is required, because when you try to produce, there are restrictions from nature. Nature always impose restrictions upon production. Okay, for example, earlier you can get food from the bottom, like the fruits and everything. You can get it from the bottom of the tree when the population is so less. But when population is increasing, this is reducing and you need to go to the top. So you need to devise certain tools, techniques, etc. which is required to harness the food. So nature always imposes restriction. For example, if you need to get the crude oil, earlier you need to dig a bit, okay, you need to dig down anyway, and now when you keep on exploiting that, the nature imposes restrictions, you keep on going down. But obviously men will always try to overcome this restriction. Men have the capacity to overcome this restriction. So what I'm saying is, production is essential. Nature always imposes restriction for production, but men have the capacity to overcome production through different tools, techniques, etc., which keeps on developed over a period of time. So to undertake production, man must enter into relations with others. Alone it is difficult, because you need to overcome the difficulties which is imposed by nature. So you will enter into relation with others. Okay, and that's what Marx calls relations of production. You also need tools, techniques, etc. to undertake production. That's what Marx calls as forces of production. So two terms that we discuss now is relations of production and forces of production. Related to production, to enter into production, to undertake production process, two essential things: you have to enter into relations of production, and at the same time you need tools and techniques. For example, you have this farm. You are a farmer, this is your land. Now if you need to undertake production here, you need to till this land. So for that you have to depend on a person who is having tractor. You may not have it, right? So X is a person who is having the tractor. So you depend on that person. So that's why you need relation with others. Similarly, you need tools, techniques, etc. This tractor is also required. That's the tools, techniques, etc. Okay, so two essential components are forces of production and relations of production. The relations in which you are entering is the relations of production. The tools, techniques, etc. is the forces of production. Now when we talk about relations of production, so I can write like this: ROP, relations of production. These two are the two key components, ROP and FOP. Now let's talk about ROP. So relations of production. This is of two types. Okay, so this is the relation between man and man. Relation between man, and that means living relation, living parts, both are living, right? So here you can see example, this Y is a farmer and this X is the owner of the tractor. Between them there is a relation, that is relation between man and man. Okay, or for example, workers and capitalists. The relation between worker is required, capitalist also required, so to undertake production. Okay, so their relation is relation between man and man. I hope you understood the worker capitalist relation. Okay, and then relation between man and thing. So this is living and non-living relation. So this is related to ownership. For example, when you talk about a factory, the capitalist own the factory. So what is the relation? Ownership relation. Worker do not have ownership relation. So non-ownership for the worker. So this is what you mean by relations of production. Two types of relations of production: man and man and things. I am trying to explain it slowly. I am expecting that you can follow. To undertake production, essential components are relations and tools, techniques, etc. Relations is what he understood as relations of production. Tools, techniques, etc. is what he understood as forces of production. Relations of productions are of two types: relation between man and man, living relation; relation between man and thing. This is related to ownership. Similarly, forces of production is also of two types. That is the living part. Okay, FOP, living part, that means the labor force. Okay, so labor force, and the non-living part, that is what? Non-living. That is what I've told you before: tools, techniques, equipments, all these are non-living. Okay, like tools, etc. And this tools, techniques, etc., the non-living part of forces of production is what Marx called as means of production. So what is means of production? Means of production is not completely forces of production. Means of production is the non-living part of forces of production. In forces of production also living part is there. The labor force, that is also required. That is also part of forces of production. And then non-living part, the tools, techniques, equipments, machineries, everything will come under this. And that's what we call as means of production. So relations of production, forces of production. The non-living part of forces of production is, this means of production. Okay, now the production is basically done with the help of ROP and FOP. Now what Marx says is the FOP, the forces of production, keeps on changing, right? Because continuous improvement will be there in the way man produce things. It was earlier the bullock will do the tilling, but now who is doing? Now the tractor is doing. So continuous development will be there in forces of production. So if there is a change in forces of production, relations of production will also change automatically, and vice versa. For example, you are Y, okay, and you had a relation with Z before. So for tilling you depend on this person who's doing this with the bullock, okay. But now what happened? New forces of production emerged, new technique or new tool emerged, that is tractor. So with that you can do it with less time and much more efficiently. Okay, so you will now try to depend on this person X who owns the tractor, not this person. So what I'm saying is the forces of production improved, it is changed, so your relation is also changed, okay, and vice versa. Like that it will happen. That's the understanding. Then secondly, this is the core of society, forces of production and relation of production. Now, in simple terms, this is enough, but when the production acquires complex form, it is also made possible with a lot of other elements which are present in society. The other elements includes like this, education, okay, family, religion, culture, etc. All these will play a key role in production when production acquires a complex form. For example, in capitalist system, ROP and FOP is not enough. All these education system is actually designed on the way so that it will help in the functioning of capitalism, because it produces the labors. Family also plays some role in capitalism. Because of family only, workers are going for work. Okay, religion also plays certain role. So all these are related to production. Everything is actually related to production. Everything is actually related to, this is what Marx called as economic infrastructure. So this is what Marx calls as economic infrastructure. Very important term, economic infrastructure. Okay, so the core of society, which comprise of FOP and ROP. FOP, ROP together is known as economic infrastructure, and all other elements is basically known as social superstructure. Okay, and together this is society. So basically society comprises of economic infrastructure, which is the core of the production process, which involves relations of production and forces of production, which defines everything, and also social superstructure, which includes the other peripheral aspects like religion, family, culture, education, government. Everything else will come under social superstructure. So this is his idea about society, okay, which is based on economic infrastructure and social superstructure. And what is more important here, the core, that is economic infrastructure. So everything will depends on economic infrastructure. For example, what Marx says is, this is economic infrastructure, okay, and this is FOP and ROP, and this is social superstructure. Social superstructure, that includes religion, family, everything, right? Now, what this economic infrastructure actually shapes the superstructure, which will shape the superstructure. That means if it is capitalist system, the economic structure in the infrastructure in the capitalist system is suitable for capitalist system, right? So the religion, the family, the education system, everything will be shaped by that particular system. Like this economic infrastructure shapes the superstructure. So education will be suitable for capitalism, family will be suitable for capitalism, religion will be suitable for capitalism. Like that it shapes. Why? What is the objective? What is the reason? Because it further help in the functioning of economic infrastructure or help in the functioning of capitalism. Okay, so the economic infrastructure shapes the superstructure, and these superstructural elements will help in the functioning of capitalism. I have told you the way religion is helping, right? In this capitalist exploitative society, how religion is helping? Religion preaches the workers that you suffer maximum in this world, you can get heaven in the next world. So workers are ready to work. Similarly, education system producing labors, and family, because of family only people are going to work. Okay, and all these are actually help in the functioning of the economic infrastructure. So this is what Marx said about society. So society is all about production process. To undertake production, you need relations and you need tools and techniques. So Marx called it as relations of production and forces of production. Relations of production are of two types: living and man, that is living, and man and thing, that is non-living, that is related to ownership. Okay, then forces of production again two: living and non-living. Living is the labor force, non-living is the tools, techniques, etc. That's the means of production. Then FOP, ROP together is the core of the society, which is known as economic infrastructure. But when the production acquires complex form, when it goes larger, there are many other elements which is required, and that is what you call as superstructural elements like family, religion, all these will come there. So society comprises of economic infrastructure, which is the core, and the social superstructure, which actually help in the functioning of the core. The core shapes the peripheral components. So economic infrastructure shapes the superstructure, which in turn help in the functioning of economic infrastructure. So this is his idea about society, and his idea about human beings is like what I've told you, a dissatisfied animal. Then he also brought a concept, being and social being. Being is the original nature of man, irrespective of your existence. Social being is what you are in society, like the terms managers, doctors, lawyers, engineers, all these are social being. Okay, so this being is perpetually a dissatisfied animal, and that is what you really are. Social being is what is your existence in society. Okay, so let's move on to the PDF. I hope you understood what all things we have discussed. I'll repeat it further. In case still if you have any doubt, you can get in touch with me. So I have already given you my Instagram ID, Telegram channel, everything. Okay, so here you can see my Instagram ID. So Zia Safir. Okay, that's my Facebook ID also. Or you can get in touch with me here, Telegram channel, you'll get all my videos. Still if you have any doubt, you can message me or call me in the contact number 9790-892-697. So you'll get me over here. Okay, so now let's directly move on to the PDF. So Karl Marx. Okay, you will not face any problem here. Understand each and every line. I'll read each and every line and I'll explain each and every line. So here between the line approach is what I'm following. I'm not going to skip anything. Okay, Marx says in order to survive, man must produce. According to Marx, production of material life is the first historical act in the history of human civilization. It is also a starting point of history or the society. Production is essential for the survival of human beings. It is a fundamental condition of history, as this act is never ending and follows an evolutionary path. Okay. Underlying this necessity of production, Marx also holds some specific assumptions about individual. For him, human beings generate needs. Man is perpetually a dissatisfied animal. When the basic needs are met, he creates new needs. This initiates the beginning of struggle between man and nature. Okay, this struggle is reflected in the terms of continuous development in the nature of production or in the way man produces things. So the continuous development, you can see the way man produces things, right? New type of machines, new type of technologies. So all these to overcome the difficulties which is imposed by nature. Okay, to overcome rain, to overcome forest. So man doing a lot of things to overcome the difficulties imposed by nature. Okay, so continuous development in the way you produce things. In order to produce, man must enter into relation with others. Man must organize for undertaking production. According to Marx, the organization of production varies from era to era and society to society. Ancient times and now the organization is different, and US and India the organization is different. Of course, nature imposes limitation on the organization of production, but it does not completely determine it. Why? Man has the capability to control the nature. Thus, the relations are essential for production to take place. Further, man also requires tools, techniques, etc. to produce things, right? For the production to take place. Thus, the problem involves two components. The production involves two components: the relations of production and the forces of production. Relations of production. According to Marx, there are two types of relations of production. A relation between man and man. I've told you, there's a relation between worker, capitalist, etc. Even between you and me, there is a production process actually going on here. Wherever value addition is there, there is a production process. So here there is a value addition, so it's a production process. There's a service, right? So man and man relation. And me and this pen, there's a relation between man and thing. I have an ownership relation, you have a non-ownership relation. Simple, okay? So relation between man and relation between man and thing. So here relation between man and man involves relationship between people engaged in the production process. In modern factory, the positions like manager, supervisor and worker are the examples of man and man relation. Now relation between man and things. On the other hand, the relation between man and things are based on the ownership and non-ownership of things related to the production process. For example, a capitalist owns the factory, then this is a relation of ownership between man and a thing. Okay, worker does not own anything, so this is a non-ownership relation. According to Marx, production has to be managed, and the different relations of production symbolized different forms of management. The relationship between people in the existing societies is conceptualized as one of antagonistic cooperation. What do you mean by antagonistic cooperation? The cooperation of opposites. So workers and capitalists are actually opposites, haves and have-nots, upper class and lower class, or bourgeois proletariat. They are opposites. Their interests are contradictory. The workers want to work for less time, more wages and better working condition, but the capitalists want to work for more time. The worker need to work more time with less wages and not that good working condition, as it is expensive. Okay, so the interests are contradictory. Interests are in fact poles apart, polar opposites, but still they are cooperating, and this cooperation is what you call as antagonistic cooperation. Okay, so that's what I actually explained here. You can read it out. Now, forces of production involve two things, man and things. Okay, man include human beings whose efforts result in production. This include labor as well as the entrepreneur. Both will come. So it's a labor force. Things include various means of production like tools, techniques, equipments, etc. So when you see means of production, you need to see that non-living part of forces of production. The development of these factors of production represents man's control over nature. That means improvement in tools shows actually man's control over nature. These FOP are used to transform nature into use value or exchange value. Okay, exchange value, use value, exchange value means what? Let's suppose this is the land. Okay, so this is basically a soil. This is some soil. This is having no value, but you convert the soil to a brick. Okay, and now you can sell it, so you can exchange this for money. So basically you converted nature, that is soil, to brick, that is giving you some exchange value, and that is having some use value also. That's why you are getting money. Okay, so that's what converting nature to use value or exchange value. Either it is having some use or you are getting some money with that. Some value addition is actually done. So according to Marx, there is a close relation between forces of production and relations of production. The relation of production change with the forces of production and vice versa. I have told you the new forces of production, if it is developed, you will change to that person because of improvement in technology, right? You can get more efficiency, more productivity. So I've given you the example also, the case of farmer. There is a constant interplay between these two. According to Marx, when production acquires complex form, it is made possible not only because of particular relations and forces, but it is a result of complex operation of number of factors present in society. I've told you religion, education, family, all these are what you mean by the number of other factors. Thus, the influence of production is not only limited to producing things only, but it also creates other conditions in society which make the production possible. That means the superstructural elements are also created as part of the production process. Okay. Thus, according to Marx, the complex interplay between FOP and ROP, the forces of production and the relations of production, result into a particular social formation. Social formation means society. Marx used different terms to explain society. Mode of production, for social formation, society, all are one and the same, which owes its existence to production process. This forms the basis of systemic view of Marx. So this can be a question. Thus, explain the systemic view of Marx. What is that? Forces of production, relation of production, economic infrastructure, social superstructure, society. So forces of production, relation of production, you can simply draw like this. This is the core and this is known as economic infrastructure, and then there are some elements like education, culture, religion, etc. These are social superstructure. Okay, so together this is society. So you can see here the systemic view actually. So for him, society can be conceptualized as a system consisting of economic infrastructure and social superstructure. So this is the system. Okay, so you can see here economic infrastructure and social superstructure. So you can make it open-ended because there are many other elements can come as part of superstructure, government policy, everything will come as part of social superstructure. Okay, so here on the top you can write society. So this forms the society. So this is actually systemic view of society of Marx given by Fletcher. You can draw exactly the same diagram, and you should be drawing this diagram if this question is asked. Marx idea about society and change, or Marx idea about society and individual. This is the idea about society. Force of production, yes, yeah, here you can write FOP. and ROP. So force of production, relation of production. Then economic infrastructure, that forms economic infrastructure. Then social superstructure, which is including all these, and that forms the society. Okay, so society include both economic infrastructure and superstructure, which plays the key role, economic infrastructure, which decides everything. Okay, and everything else is basically functioning for the economic infrastructure. Marx uses different terms for society in different texts. The term social formation, mode of production, etc. understood as society. As the economic infrastructure changes, the superstructure also change. Right? So if it is capitalism, the elements of superstructure will be suitable for capitalism. If it is feudalism, it will be suitable for feudalism. If it is communism, it will be suitable to communism, like that. Okay? Economic infrastructure shapes the superstructure, I've told you this, which in turn help in the functioning of economic infrastructure. Thus, the total organization of society, according to Marx, is based on the nature of production. Okay? So you can see here, economic infrastructure shapes the superstructure, okay, which in turn you can see help in the functioning of economic infrastructure. So let's say this is capitalism. So this capitalism creates, shapes what? Religion, family, education, etc. Okay, why? Because it helps in the functioning of capitalism. And that's the reason why Marx is saying constitution is the document of bourgeois. Bourgeois created it to help them. Parliament is an executive committee of bourgeois, which is created by the capitalists to help them. Religion is a heart of heartless world, soul of soulless condition, and opium of masses. All these are connected, okay? So from here only you will get all those explanations. Now, apart from developing a linkage between production and society, Marx also examines the influence of production on individual consciousness. Practically, individual consciousness falls within the domain of superstructure, right? Religion, family, etc. So your consciousness will be in the domain of superstructure. But who's shaping the superstructure? Economic infrastructure. So who's basically shaping your consciousness? It is the economic infrastructure. That means capitalism in capitalist society. So your consciousness is actually shaped on the basis of that only. Okay, economic infrastructure. So the consciousness of an individual is influenced by person's position in the process of production. Where are you standing? The worker's consciousness and the capitalist consciousness will be different. Okay, the managers and the clerk's consciousness will be different. To further clarify the idea of consciousness, Marx distinguishes between being and social being. Being is the basic nature of man, independent of his existence. According to Marx, this being is perpetually dissatisfied. Further, Marx's conception of being is in terms of creative humanism. That means he can create anything and everything. Okay, for example, for example, if you take a carpenter, he is able to produce the entire table. Okay, complete table he can produce. But in the complex society, because of division of labor, he may be only doing assembling part. Some people will construct the legs, okay, and some people will construct that table, the flat top, and finally one person will be doing the assembly. But the entire job could be done by a carpenter. But because of the process of production, that is not possible. You are not able to express your creativity. We'll talk about that in the coming session. Creativity is essential for its nature. Social being refers to the existence of individual in society. The social being is one's place in the production process and is defined by the nature of activity performed by the individual. For example, the term workers, managers, etc. denote social being. Thus, according to Marx, individual consciousness in society is determined by one's own being rather than social being. Now look into a question, Marx concept about individual and society. So what all things you will write here? Related to individual, you will talk about being and social being, right? This is what you will write in terms of individual, like the individual is a dissatisfied animal, he create needs and all those things you can write. Society, you have to talk about relations of production, you have to talk about forces of production, you have to talk about infrastructure, economic infrastructure, and you have to talk about social superstructure. Okay, social superstructure, which includes various elements like religion, education, family, culture, etc. And then this forms the society. Economic infrastructure shapes the superstructure, which in turn help in the functioning of economic infrastructure. You can draw both diagrams. That systemic view, that diagram you need to draw. You need to draw the one which I've shown you, like shapes and functioning. That also you need to draw. So I hope you understood. Just read the PDF. In case if you have any doubt, you message me or you call me. I am always there to help you. Don't worry about anything. You can feel free to call me, okay, or message me. So see you guys. Thank you. So that's about the session. I hope you understood everything that we have discussed today. If you have any doubt in any of the videos that we have discussed so far, you can get in touch with me here. That's my Instagram ID, okay? Or you can join the Telegram channel. You will get all my videos over there. Everything is there. Or you can see here, this is a Telegram channel, or this is the Instagram ID. These two are my Facebook page. You can get in touch with me in any of this. If you want to learn economy with me or history with me or general studies, any subjects, you can, if you need regular classes, you can get in touch with me, or the online classes are available with Study IQ. You will get all those classes. Still, you will get my YouTube videos in this Telegram channel, okay? So I hope you understood everything that we have discussed. So see you guys. Thank you.